Hello girlies, welcome back to my YouTube channel. You're watching Sasha R on collateral damage. Now, like the title suggested, I'm going to talk about this dress which I really like, and I specially got it from India, but it turned out to be a very doomed one for me because both the times I wore this dress I got into situations that kind of really embarrassed me and took me like almost weeks to get over. And because of that, I was really scared to wear this dress again. I'm going to put that dress over here. I got this from a store called Soul Store back in India. It's a normal t-shirt dress like you can see, and it has these intricate Indian patterns, and I like anything that has a blend of Indo-Western stuff. And I wore it 2 times, and both these times I did super embarrassing stuff that kind of made this black spot on my other very sophisticated and clean image that I maintain. So I'm going to narrate these stories one after the other, and then in the next part of the video I'll be wearing this dress and I'll be going out for a gathering to test this hypothesis of whether or not this dress is doomed. So this is how the first story happened. Now, there was this group of friends with whom I clubbed before. We went to a Bollywood night at Chicago. This time we were again going out to a Tollywood night, to a South Indian music festival. Now, I wouldn't call this group my friends because I knew them through mutual. So there's this friend of mine back in India whose husband had a schoolmate who studied in Purdue, and he has this whole gang of friends, okay? And the reason why I wouldn't call them my friends is because a couple of times I did hang out with them. They were very kind to me and they were very nice to me, but I did not feel the vibe. We had nothing in common, and I don't think we had the same kind of interests. I feel like I introduced clubbing to them, and when I did, they really enjoyed it. So I think the next time they were going, they invited me. However, this time it was just this group without the mutual friend we had. So it was 3 girls. I'm going to give them some fake names. It is Veronica, Akshara, and Pam. Let's just say Pam. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other names. I'm trying to match the first letters. So I was friends with Veronica and Akshara, but Pam is Akshara's friend. So somehow that night I thought I'll invite another friend of mine who actually lives in Chicago. What we were doing was we were driving from West Lafayette to Chicago. We would party over there, and then the same night we were planning to drive back to West Lafayette. So it was like almost a 6-hour ordeal, okay? And this was Akshara's car, and they were taking me around. Like I said, they've been super kind to me since the time I've known them till now. In fact, to be honest, they were the first people I met after coming to campus who were like friendly to me, and a sweet bunch, I would say. And that evening, Akshara was getting Pam, who is not of our school. I also thought it would be a good opportunity for me to invite another friend of mine, Betty, who is based out of Chicago. The reason I wanted to do that was because Betty was leaving, and I don't come to Chicago that often. So the one time I come, I thought we could meet each other for the last time, and then it's like a little farewell for her. So we all went to this restaurant where we were eating first, and Betty came there. So it was Betty, me, Akshara, Veronica, and Pam. Now, usually when we bring 2 different friend groups together, I always put in this effort to kind of build this friendship between them so that nobody feels out of the place, right? Because even though they're not direct friends, if we are hanging out together, it's ideal if we all get along with each other and they're all having fun so that nobody's out of place. I usually really enable that, and this time too I was trying to do that. I introduced them and I was trying to like lighten it a little bit. I was telling some jokes here and there. However, I felt that Akshara, Veronica and Pam were very, very hostile towards Betty, and I was like a little taken aback because that never really happened to me, where the two friend groups I brought together were polar opposites. So they were like, I almost felt like judging my friend Betty. So after that we went to ate a little and then we went to the club. And once we reached the club, we did some shots and all of that. And I felt that every time we were on the dance floor, it was the three of us, almost it was the four of us, and Betty sticking out like a sour thumb. So I was trying to pull her and get her included into this group, but these three were, you know, kind of not giving way for that. And that happened multiple times through the night. I was bringing her in, we were dancing, and then I see these people were making their own little circle. And at some point they also met some other two people. I think that the other two people were a couple, and this girl was dancing but the guy didn't want to dance, so he kind of made that girl tag along with us so that she can dance as well. And they were all dancing and we were kind of left out. I was feeling really bad for Betty, because I mean, she didn't know them, she didn't have to like face this. Although I do feel that now these girls were not really familiar with the clubbing space is what I felt. So the experience was really new to them, and I somehow felt they couldn't take the fact that Betty was like really comfortable in that space. That was my understanding, could be my judgment, but that is how I felt. I thought it was them channelizing insecurity in that way and not including Betty. After a point I was like, fuck it, if they're having fun they can. Like my direct friend is Betty, so I chose to be with Betty and we were like doing our own little thing. And then I think we met another guy and we all got along really well. So we three were dancing and those 5 people were dancing separately, these 3 and the other 2 people who had joined. So we had officially become 2 different groups over there. And then I remember Betty and I danced a lot, and then we got a little tired, so we just sat there in one of the couches. And then soon the party ended and everybody was going out. I remember talking to Betty, and then I looked there and I saw that those 3 were exiting the club, and I was a little upset because it almost felt like they left us and went. And this is problematic because I came along with them from West Lafayette, so I needed to go with them to get back. It was their car and there was no other way for me to do that. Although I do want to say Veronica was being a little warm and she was also trying to, you know, be the bridge between both groups, but Akshara and Pam were very hostile. So it was me and Veronica who were crossed between this crossfire, and I quite like her, to be honest. However, this happened and then we went down, and I literally called them out and said, please hold on, we're coming too, and then I joined them. After that, Betty was kind of forcing me to stay with her for the night, but I couldn't stay because I have to get back with them. Otherwise I had to wait until next evening to get back to the campus. So I somehow told Veronica to please drag me and take me home and not leave me with Betty. Then Betty's boyfriend booked her a cab and Betty left. Now even when Betty's boyfriend booked her a cab, we both were standing here for the cab and their car was across the road. They just left us and crossed the road. Also, I forgot to say, they were also clicking pictures after the party, and they did not include me and Betty, and I was very upset. By then I was like, please grow up, like this is not how you behave when 2 different groups of friends hang out together. I mean, I thought they were being super childish and super immature, and to be honest, they are pretty young. they were at least 4 years younger than me. Don't judge me for hanging out with people who are 4 years younger than me. It's just that I'm very late to grad school, so all the people I meet are in their early 20s and I am in my late 20s. So there's always that mismatch in age, but I usually get along with everyone. But I do think these were acting like juveniles, and I was like super pissed. I dropped Betty and then I got into the car, and at this point I was super pissed with them. And I have this bad habit, okay? Every time I'm pissed, I kind of have this need to vocalize that. So I have to tell it to either them or some, like how Fleabag has the real world going on over here, but then she turns and then tells her opinion. I literally do that all the time. But over here the audience are my friends, so I constantly keep texting them updates, especially my opinions of other people and how I feel that way. I really feel at that point. I do feel I have to change this habit, because I feel there is no need for me to associate a feeling with everything that happens. Things just happen and you can move on. At this time I was very upset and I was not in a mood to talk to them that much. I don't know if they've sensed that or no, but they were also super juvenile, so they were also not trying to warm me up. So what happened was, I had to vocalize this feeling of mine that I was feeling towards them. So I texted my friend Pallavi that, hey, I don't think I like Veronica and co. Pallavi knows them and she knows that I was going out with them, so I texted her that. And I kind of dozed off for some time, and then I woke up because it was a 3-hour drive, right? I woke up just to see what Pallavi responded, only for me to realize that I sent that message to Veronica herself and she had read that immediately. She read that almost instantly, and I was in her car. Her boyfriend was driving and I was sitting right behind her, and in her car I sent her this text that I don't like Veronica and co. Oh my god. I deleted the message immediately and I just slept until my house came. And the moment my house came, they were like, hey, your house is here. And I got down and I said bye, like very coldly, and just got into my house. And then I slept. The next day I woke up with so much regret that I directly texted her. The thing is, out of all the people, Veronica was the one who was being a little sweet, but I ended up sending that to her. I did try to explain it to her, although I should have come up with a better explanation. I should have been honest and I should have told that, I didn't like the way people were treating Betty. And that was how I felt at that point. I didn't mean it. But instead, I decided to give her a very vague explanation. I said, I'm so sorry, like my words were all jumbled. That is not what I mean. She was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But after that, we did not really talk to each other. I don't think we spoke to each other ever again. But later on, she did tell those mutual friends that I sent this text, and those mutual friends are friends with me. So they were like, we heard you sent this text, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. But it's funny, okay? Like at the end of the day, I still laugh about it a lot, but it is very unlike of me. I don't know, that has never happened to me before. So it's like, how did this even happen? Why did I have to text her? To be honest, it is actually funny because I don't really want to be friends with them. The thing is, no, I feel, see, when you meet people, you understand if you want to be friends with them or no, right? But if you still become friends with people with whom you don't have that vibe, then your dislike for them kind of comes out in different ways and forms. So over here, I didn't quite like them, so I shouldn't have hung out with them. But I don't know why I decided to hang out, and my dislike for them somehow got channelized. So that is my one big learning, and that is to really be picky about friends and hang out with people whom you really like. Because I really can't fake it, so I don't end up faking it, and it becomes very unpleasant and it ends up being a bitter experience. So that was the first memory I had with that dress. And then I obviously did not think this dress was doomed, but this was the memory I associated that with. However, it was only the second time I wore this dress when I realized that every time I wear this dress, I do something that really embarrasses me. But before I do that, I thought I'll do a little haul of the products I just bought. Now look at me doing all YouTuber stuff. So The reason I bought this set is there was one product that I needed, literally one product that was on my list for the longest time. But I have this emotional spending problem, like I feel I spend only to soothe myself emotionally. Like, even if I'm bored, I have to spend. I know it's retail therapy, but that is something I'm really trying to overcome. And yeah, it's just, in general, I think we should all not fall victims of consumerism, but we all have become. Anyway, moving on. So I ordered some stuff from Ulta through DoorDash. So I'm just going to show everything that I bought. The first product that I bought is the Medicue's Kojic Acid and Turmeric collection. I think this is the body peel shot. It helps with hyperpigmentation is what I've been told. The next one is this glycolic acid exfoliating toner. So of course I heard so much about this, and I really want to see if it's actually worth the hype. Usually I feel most of the products do nothing to your skin. I don't know, I feel they barely have any impact except for sunscreen and moisturizers that show immediate impact, but toners and all, I'm not sure if they have that much of an impact. But of course I've been using all these all my life, so every time you buy a new product you just have to be hopeful. So I'm trying to see if this can help me with a lot of open pores which I have, and a lot of hyperpigmentation that I have. And then these are random wax strips. I'm not sure if this is a good brand, but I've only used Veet before, so I just wanted to try and see if it works out. Now, I'm a big fan of fragrances in all forms, so I love anything that has good fragrance. I love body washes, soaps. I recently bought like this cheese shaped soap from the soap opera, and that can give you a little insight into my obsession with anything bathing related. In fact, I used to actually own a business back in India, and I used to sell my own bathing products. That is a story time for another day. But I ordered this cute Whispering Lily body wash from Method. I in general love Method body washes because of the way they smell. Especially there's a seasonal, they also have these seasonal ranges. I was using, I don't remember the name, but it was some orange and pink one. I was using that for 2 days. I used 2 bottles of that back to back. I think it was some tangerine thing. I thought I'll order some because it's summer. Yellow kind of attracted me. Let me see if it's actually that fresh. Smells a little manly. Okay, I'm a big fan of anything that smells extra girly. Like, I need to have some bit of either vanilla or berries in all the fragrances I own. Otherwise, I'm not a big fan of them. And I also bought, I think this is Days. I don't know. Now, these two are colors, not flavors. Colors that I'm not a regular purchaser of. I have to buy things that have either orange, red, or pink in them. I'm very cliche that way, but I love having good looking things in my bathroom. So these are 2 new colors. I thought let me just try, and I did smell this before. Little underwhelming only. Actually, I don't like it. It's giving me a little bit of a headache, but it's just a scrub, so I don't think the smell's gonna linger. These are some of the products I bought, and I'm so excited to use them. Please do not come back to my channel for the review of these, because I'm not going to review any of those. It's not my business. Anyway, moving on to the dome dress. The second time I wore this dress was also for another clubbing nights. This was hosted by a very famous resto bar in our college town. I think it was like an after party for another party that had happened in the school. So it was supposed to be a very happening night, and I was going with my friends, fake names, Kanchish and Kushi. It's so hard to like not mix up fake and real names. So I was going with my friends Kashish and Kushi, and my intention was to actually have a lot of fun that night because, digressing a little, a crush of mine, a very long term crush of mine, got married that day to somebody I knew from before. So that really broke my heart. I can't really call it a heartbreak. Let's just call it a pseudo heartbreak. So I was going through this pseudo heartbreak and I was like, I'm going to get sloshed, I'm going to have a lot of fun, I'm going to dance all night. However, when we went to the bar, the party was in the second floor or the first floor. When we went there, we realized that nobody else was there. It was just the three of us and another group of acquaintances. And I was like, the one time I decided I want to have so much fun, the scene is this dead. And I was pretty disappointed. So I was like, okay, let's just go to Kashish's house and pre-game a little. So we went there, we pre-gamed a little, and we came back, went to another restaurant closer to this one, and we pre-gamed a little more over there. I think the original plan was to go back to Kashish's place and play some card game, but that group of acquaintances we met back in the bar, they called us and told us that the scene is really good, people started coming. So I was like, okay, let's go, or something like that. I don't remember, because by this time I was super duper sloshed and I pre-gamed way too much, a lot more than these two girls, and I was super sloshed, super wasted. So a lot of these things from that night are blurred to me. I remember bits and pieces and faces, but I don't remember exact details of everything that happened. I know them from whatever Kushi told me. It's her perspective and her narration. That is how I knew what happened that night properly, that I'm able to come and tell. So I somehow remember we went there and there was this dance floor, everybody was dancing, and there was this bench that is closer to the stair. The staircase is here, the bar is here, there's this grill, and there was a bench over here, and I was sitting over there. Usually I'm the kind of a person who would dance all night long from beginning to the end, but that day I was just sitting, and that will give you a little insight into how much I was wasted. So I remember sitting there, and I think at this time I remember there was this group that came, and I knew all of them through mutual friends. They're from a very close peer circle, I would say, and Kashish knew all of them. I knew of them. They also maybe knew of me, but I'm not sure. But I was pretty disappointed to see people from such close social circles being a part of that gathering, because in my mind I was like, every time I go there, I don't usually bump into people I know. So my intention was just to have fun with my girls, and I was not in a mood for socializing. So I remember seeing them and being disappointed. I was like, why are these people here? I remember doing that. And then I remember sitting there, everybody put their jackets and all beside me and their bags beside me, and I was sitting in that pile. A couple of other people were sitting here and there. I think Kushi was sitting here, but she was going to the dance floor and coming back. I don't quite remember what was happening. In my defense, a lot was happening, okay? So basically a lot was happening. And I just remember sitting there, and at some point this guy named, fake name alert, Charlie, sat beside me. Now Charlie is somebody I knew from before. I want to give a little backstory. So the first time we've interacted in a gathering, I thought he was really cute, and I remember looking at him, and I remember him looking back at me. We had this eye contact, and I thought, I could go talk to him, and I actually did go talk to him. We had a sweet conversation, and after that, I think for a couple of days we waved at each other every time we saw. But at some point this guy completely flipped over me and started acting super cocky, and I have no clue as to why he was doing that. One reason might be that in the setting that we met each other, I was kind of socially rejected initially by everybody else. So I was sort of a loner, and I think I started on the wrong foot, and I couldn't get along as in I couldn't gel enough with anybody. So I kind of felt a little left out in that setting, and a little cornered But I did greet people. I never had any. I wasn't at loggerheads with anybody as of maybe they had their own opinions. I also had my opinions, but I was like never at loggerheads. However, this guy was one of those few people I actually spoke to and I actually thought I can kind of get along well with. But he started showing me a lot of attitude. I remember that specifically because we had to form groups for something, and then I'm not giving you full context because I don't want the person watching this video to understand that it's him. I'm okay if he understands, but I don't want other people to understand. That's why I'm kind of playing with my words so that you don't get the full context, but you understand the circumstance. So there was this occasion when we had to form a group or something, and then I remember calling him and I was like, hey, did you form a group? And he looked at me with like a lot of attitude and he was like, yeah. And he turned his face and I was so taken aback. I was like, who are you? Who the hell are you? So I was like, I really don't like such people, because we did have a good one-on-one connection, but because I was socially rejected, I felt he wanted to go along with the rest of the herd. I really don't like such people. So I had a very bad impression of him. I completely removed him from my mind space, and after that I don't think we ever greeted each other and all of that. However, later on some circumstances happened and we had to come together for some project, and it was a good 2-month long project, so we did not interact that much. We interacted a little bit here and there, and I kind of sat beside him, so we had good conversations. We became a little cordial, we warmed up a little with each other. Then again in the next semester we had to do another project, and I was forming this group with other people and we needed one more person, and I checked the list and realized that this guy was not part of any other group. So I texted him and I asked him if he wanted to be a part of this group. He agreed and we started working together again, and I thought, okay, maybe he's fine, although at the back of my mind I always had this feeling that he is pretty cocky towards me. But at this point he did become a little sweet and we built this little friendship, I would say. I wouldn't really call him my friend, but we would wave at each other and do a little bit of small talk. Did you prepare for this one? How is your project going on? Stuff like that. We established a little more contact while we started kind of bitching about a person that we both mutually dislike. We never did that in person, but I did text him about this person and he responded, and literally for 2-3 weeks that was the only thing that we were talking about. Now in this whole process, initially it started with me thinking he's cute, then almost hating him because of his cockiness towards me, and also for tagging along with the people who socially rejected me. But after he warmed up a little towards me, I think in my subconscious I continued thinking that he's cute, because I don't think I consciously thought he's cute, I want to hit on him. But I think subconsciously it was somewhere there, because I kind of really acted on it that night. So basically what happened was, I think he's an introvert, I don't know, but when I am sloshed, I have this bad habit of going to introverts and really shaking them up and trying to make them crack. I don't know, I take this as a little mission of mine. So I was sitting there, he was sipping his drink and he was like very quietly sitting there. His whole group was there. They were like, I remember somebody was going there. It was a lot of people, everybody knew each other, so much was going on. In my mind, I had blurred out all of them and I only remember focusing on this guy. I did not even like him that much, but I don't know what did the slosh Sasha think. I was just sitting there and I remember having this one-sided conversation with him. I was continuously yapping almost for I think 1.5 or 2 hours or more. I don't remember. I was just yapping. I remember him just doing this. But see, in my view at that time, of course, like if he got up and left, then I wouldn't have continued the conversation, but he was also sitting there, so I was just talking to him. And then one big regret was that there's this girl I knew and I think she was hanging out with the guy, and in my mind I was like, oh, this girl deserves a lot more than that guy. But then I was that kind of came up in my face and I was giving her look, and this guy was like, don't worry, that guy is okay. I think he thought I was judging them. That is one regret that I have, but my intention was that she really deserves better than him or something like that. In fact, I remember I was sitting there and I was talking to him for a while. Next day, Kushi told me that that night what happened was I was constantly flirting with him and talking to him about I don't know what, and he was just simply nodding and occasionally responding. I did make some really weird, twisted statements. So, this girl who was hanging out with another guy, apparently, I pulled her. I mean, I knew her from before. I pulled her and I was like, why are you even hanging out with him? I think he's cooler. You have to hang out with him. Sort of indicating that, oh, why are you not dating him? He's such a hottie kind. That was the implication. And then I went to Kushi and I was like, by this time, Kashish was all over the place. Like, she was, I don't remember where she went after that point, okay, but she wasn't beside me. That is something I remember. So Kushi was here, and apparently I told Kushi that, you know what, I think he's really cute, so I think you should flirt with him. I don't know what did that even mean. Funniest. And then it seems I apparently asked him if he needs a gum or something, and Kushi had my gums. So I asked him, do you need a gum? Then he said yes. Then I asked Kushi, can you give him my gums? Then she's like, I don't think they are with me. I kind of lost them. Then I was like, oh my god, how can you lose my gums and stuff like that? Then again I looked at him and I was like, do you need a gum? Then he's like, yes. Then I again turned to her and I was like, can you give him my gums? Then she's like, I lost your gums. And I'm like, how can? And I did that for 3-4 times. I am so embarrassing. That is such an embarrassing thing to do. I remember that there were his friends were giving me looks, and I don't know what kind of looks were there. I think they were teasing, or they might have thought, what's wrong with her? Because my usual persona is like super proper, like I don't talk too much in that setting. I don't talk too much, like this sophisticated persona. I kind of carry that. It's not performative, but maybe it is performative. Like sometimes I think I have different personalities in different settings, and I don't know why that is. I wish I was the same in all settings, but I somehow have a lot of inhibitions. Basically, it's I need time to open up before I show how fun I am, or you know, you have this version with your friends and with the outside world. That is exactly what I'm talking about. The image I have with my friends is way different from my outside world image. On the outside, I appear very uptight and a little like, don't talk to me kind of a person. And this is what people told me, that, you know, I've been a little scared of talking to you, but it's not intentional. It's genetic. I have this resting bitch face, which is super genetic. Everybody in my family has that. So my otherwise super sophisticated image got a little tampered there, because I don't remember if they had any opinion, but I'm damn sure Charlie was like confused, because I think I clearly was acting like I was really into him, but to be honest, I wasn't really into him, but I was flirting. The thing is, I'm not sure, but I do think he has a girlfriend. So I don't know, that is something I'm so embarrassed about, kind of unintentionally flirting with somebody who had a girlfriend. But I really wish he got up and left. That's another thing. And I also remember that there was another girl, okay, like this random girl whom I've never seen before. I remember she came to me and we were all like, this is what happens when you get sloshed, you know, you get all lovey-dovey, we were hugging and all of that. Apparently I made her buy a drink for me, and I mean, that was so unnecessarily. A, I did not need more drinks. B, I did not know her, so I was feeling so guilty about her paying for my drink, because we're all students at the end of the day. So I was like so weird. The next day when Kushi told me, I was like, so unlike of me. And then after that, I think I was talking to him. He did not go, but I remember at some point, I think his friend came and dragged him, and my friends came dragged me, and we both got dragged by our friends, and then we both went downstairs. And even then I think I was saying that, oh my god, I want to talk to Charlie, and my friends were like, no, 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 you have to stay here, you have to stay here. And then they took me, got me some food, and we were eating, and then we did call it a night. Oh no, but my only extremely embarrassing thing from this evening is that I flirted so much with this guy. I was so embarrassed of it. After that, I met him twice and I never looked at him. Although my friends were like, you have to just be okay with it, but I was like so worried, so sad that my image got tampered. And I was also sad that, I don't know, he might think I like him and all of that. I do find him cute, but of course, like, my intention was not to hit on him, but I unintentionally hit on him so hard. And he mostly has a girlfriend, so that's like super embarrassing. But after that, we did start texting each other again, and everything got normalized. We are kind of friends even now. But yeah, that is one night I was super embarrassed about, and it took me 1 week to recover from that embarrassment I had. I wouldn't have cared if this wasn't a guy I met in a setting that I'm not myself with. So I was so scared about them going behind my back and kind of making fun of me. Yeah, so that was my second embarrassing story. Now, today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change into that dress, and I'll be going out to actually test out if this dress is actually doomed. Now, in both these stories, nothing happened that kind of meddled with my safety. It was just me doing buffoonery in circles that I'm not supposed to be doing buffoonery in. So I just want to check if there is any truth to the fact that this being a doom dress. That's all for this video. See you in part 2. That is where we're going to debrief whether or not this dress is doomed. Until then, keep coming back to the channel, like, share and subscribe the video. And I'm super excited for this little experiment of mine. See you.